Still a rookie, but I'm getting there. Oh, we're live now.
We're live now. You see
I think
us?
so. I do. Well, it says live.
Okay, I gotta find my screen. Okay,
Okay.
here I am. Okay.
Yeah.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
Here we go.
Fantastic. All right.
And now I have to turn off my everything else. There we
Sure.
go. It's a little complicated. I've only
Yeah.
done a few of these. We did
Yeah.
do a collaboration last week that was really fun with a few teachers, but
Yeah.
the rule was we weren't supposed to talk about the current events in the
Oh, is
country.
that right? Okay. You mean okay? Those current events. Okay.
That
Okay.
thing, you know.
I thought you meant current events with VIP KID or something.
Oh no.
Changes to curricula or something. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone who's
Yeah.
watching. My name is Cindy Bennett, and welcome to my channel. And today we are interviewing Mr. Todd or Pastor Todd Wells, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Teacher, whatever.
Yeah. Great. Great. Thank you so much for coming
My
and
pleasure.
agreeing to
Yeah.
talk. I've been wanting to, I don't know, I've enjoyed your stories on the Christian Facebook page.
Yeah.
Are you on any other Facebook groups for VIPKID?
The new people support group. I drop in there occasionally. So,
Okay.
but not as
Okay,
much as
great.
ours now.
Okay. I do not. I have a hard time finding it on. I'm looking down here on the YouTube feed to see if I can see it pop up, because in that way I can see who's
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. Okay. Great. So what I do usually, I have a group of friends that we're all YouTubers.
Yeah.
And I just started doing it because I saw them doing it, and we kind of follow each other's YouTube videos, and then we each have a live day, and usually I do Saturday, and usually we'll talk about like, how are your bookings,
Yeah.
you know, any kind
Yeah.
of things that might have happened.
Mhm.
So right now we have Kelly. Hello, Kelly and Casey. And I know my friend Christy, she is on the Christian Facebook group as well. She was planning on coming.
Oh,
So
good.
different people
Okay.
might pop in, and they might have some questions for you today.
Okay. Fantastic. Sure.
All
I'll
right.
try to.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you
Okay.
for coming.
Mhm.
So the first
You.
question, let's see. Before we get into your interview, how were your
Mhm.
classes today?
Uh, Physically uh, demanding. Students were not bad, but it was just physically demanding. I didn't get enough sleep last night. So,
Oh,
does
okay.
anybody
Yeah.
else
Why
experience that?
not? Yeah.
Everybody's alert but me.
I know. Well, my husband actually is a pastor, and so
Yeah.
I know all the stuff. Like, I know the
Yeah.
verses, I'm praying, I'm staying,
Yeah.
like, I keep reviewing things to stay close to the Lord. But I have kids
Yeah.
all over the country. I have 13 kids altogether.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful. Yeah.
I actually have a daughter in Atlanta right now working. She's not a nurse or a doctor, but she's
Mhm.
working in the hospital.
Yeah.
And so that's
Oh,
really,
wow.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's very concerning.
Sure.
And then I have a daughter in South Carolina. So some of them are, I have my oldest daughter who is like reading everything, and she is like stressing
Yeah.
herself out. She has three little kids.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's just a really hard thing. But then I get up this morning and my husband's like, you need to trust the Lord. He's
Yeah.
going on and on. I'm like, I
Yeah.
know, but it's hard.
Yeah. If it wasn't hard, there wouldn't be so many exhortations in scripture and encouragements and
Yeah.
struggles,
Yeah.
so
Right.
they're in there for. So yeah, very good.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the thing is, I told my kids, I said, 1 minute I might be able to encourage you, and
Mhm.
then you might not need to turn around and encourage me,
Yeah,
because it's
that's
kind of
right.
an up and down
Sort of
thing.
a symbiotic relationship. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So don't
Yeah,
feel like,
yeah,
I'm invincible, because I know the right words and I want to be strong, but
yeah.
it is hard.
Sure, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I went through earlier in the year. I went through a series. I guess it was earlier in the year on some of the Psalms of Lament. And I said, look, God is not afraid to put these in here. He's not embarrassed by prayers of his saints when they don't understand why he's doing what he's, if he was embarrassed or offended by that, they wouldn't be there. They are there because he appreciates our expressions of doubt and fear
Right.
and so forth. So, but anyway,
Right.
I know it's
And
just
we
not a,
don't know. We
yeah,
don't know the future. And I
yeah,
think one of the hardest things is that we aren't being like, I just was thinking last night, I'm like, if I were the president, I think I would try to get on like every day and encourage
yeah,
and like at least say, I love you,
yeah,
America.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
where is he? He should be
yeah,
like our
yeah,
dad, just
yeah. Kind of
I'm
like Ronald Reagan, not to,
maybe that's it.
yeah, yeah. I
I
grew up with
just feel
Reagan. A
like,
lot of us grew up with Reagan,
yeah, I feel like where's the support?
Yeah,
Where's the
yeah,
encouragement? We're like,
yeah,
so
yeah,
anyway, that's my thing last night. I was just
yeah,
like, wait a second.
yeah,
I feel like the administration is very silent. And
yeah,
then I
yeah,
I did see a video by Melania Trump.
yeah,
And then all the comments underneath were like, this looks like something out of a sci-fi movie, which
yeah,
I don't watch those movies.
yeah,
So I'm not comparing this to anything, which
yeah.
I'm so thankful for. I
Yeah,
can't.
I wish I had not watched all of those dystopian movies and everything because, yeah, I'm like, okay,
Here we
because now I'm
go.
making these connections. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I told my kids yesterday, my kids are 12 and 8. We were out hiking because that's a safe thing to do, right? And
Yes.
I said, you guys, I said, I feel like I'm in one of those dystopian Netflix series. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a way to encourage your kids. Great job,
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But thank the Lord for the wilderness. I mean, thank the Lord for nature. I'm around just hundreds of acres of open land that I can
oh,
hike on
good.
freely, which
Good.
is very nice.
Yeah. My kids are actually out hiking right now.
Really,
They
yeah,
went, yeah, we're not right. We can go a little ways and go on a hike, but it's
yeah,
probably other people have traveled it. But if we
yes,
drive
yeah,
a little ways, we
yeah.
can make it to some
Mm, it's
some
nice.
untouched property that we can walk on. But
Well,
yeah,
you think
that's
about our students. I'll just say this real fast, but they think about our students, and all of us understand that our students were when they were at the peak of this, and there they were in their apartments without any really form of escape at all, really.
yes.
And now, I mean, I'm not saying I didn't appreciate and have compassion, but now I have a whole new level of compassion because
Yeah.
I can escape, but I'm living in a country where many kids are in the city and maybe cannot escape, and their
Right.
conditions maybe comparable to
Right.
Beijing or something like that. So,
Right.
well,
And
anyway,
I think we saw the students on the good side of it.
yeah, that's right.
We didn't see this
Yeah,
other side. We're thinking that
right,
everybody in China went through
yeah,
it like our students did.
yeah,
But there's a
exactly.
lot of stuff we don't know.
That's right. No question.
So that's
Yeah, I like
yeah.
your background, by the way. I just want to tell you,
And
nice background.
this is
Yeah.
my Nancy Taylor map.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that was given to me by, I'm on a weight loss group,
yeah,
and the administrator for that gave me the map.
yeah,
And I saw this at the dollar store, and I said,
yeah,
I need that to give
yeah.
me hope,
There
for
you
the
go. Well, I
future.
told my wife last night. I said, because I've got some extra, money put aside just to blow money, as we call it, just blow it on whatever. And I said, just to kind of help my mood a little bit, I said I'm going to get a new backdrop. And she said, well, go ahead and get a new backdrop. I said, I've even got my own money for it.
Oh, aren't
I
you
had,
good?
well,
Yeah.
I had somebody in the church that gave me some money, and I'd
Yep.
actually forgotten that I had it, and I pulled it out. I was going to go to a conference, a gospel conference with it. Well, the gospel conference was canceled, of course.
Of course.
So I said,
Yeah.
well, why am I going to do this money? So I'm going to get a new backdrop, probably give some to the church, but I'm going to get a new backdrop because the mountains have been great, but it's been there for about 3 months now. So maybe time for a
Okay.
change up. But I like
Yeah.
yours, is my point. I like it.
Thank
It's good.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I've got the itch. I am known
Yeah.
from among my friends that I'm the one who changes it out a lot.
Yeah, yeah. It's
So,
fun. It's fun, isn't it? I mean, it feels so,
yeah.
and sometimes my students will comment, oh, new
Yeah.
backdrop. So I get
Yeah.
comments like, are you outside, teacher? They'll ask that. Are you
Oh, I
outside?
love it. I love yours because that looks
Oh,
like
thank you.
where I live.
Yeah.
That's where I live in New Hampshire. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Is it cold in New Hampshire today?
That's what we should do sometime. We should like have a exchange, like a
Yeah.
trade off, like, you mail me yours and I'll mail you mine. And
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Oh,
that's
hey,
a good idea.
tell me what is it? Is it warm up there in New Hampshire? Are you feeling
Oh, it
spring
is
yet?
freezing.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, last night, I was thinking of you because it was so windy
Yeah.
last night. It felt
Yeah.
like a sci-fi movie. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
word.
Really?
And yeah,
Yeah.
it's been cold this week.
Okay.
The word is we're supposed to get a whole bunch of snow in a couple days. And we're
Mm,
like, seriously?
yeah.
You
We got a
know?
quarter of an inch, and that's probably all we got, and that's probably all we're going to get because it's already been like in the 70s and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, but the good weather's coming. It's not
it
far
will. Yeah,
off.
it's not
But
far off. Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I had a birthday party today. So this was my
Yeah.
birthday. I like to share a little bit of my props or rewards, but this is one I
Yeah.
made a long time ago. This is a
Yeah.
napkin, and I made it in shapes.
Ah.
So then they can say the shape, and then he also got
Yeah.
M&Ms.
Oh, very nice. How do they respond to that, Cindy? When you do crafty, really clever, creative, do you think the students do they appreciate that, or is it more
Sometimes.
sometimes? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
I
I'm not
just
a very
do it up.
crafty proper. Yeah.
I just do it up. I just make it
Yeah.
fun,
Yeah.
and they just
Yeah.
look at me funny, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this one kid I
Yeah.
had the last lesson, it was like, yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't wait till it was over. I'm sorry, but
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
it
you
was
have
just
days
he
like that.
wasn't responding and he kept
Yeah.
clicking in and out. He's a
Yeah.
regular of mine and he's
Yeah.
just bored. And I
Yeah.
just was like, you know what, kid, I'm bored. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna put me to sleep.
They fall into, I mean, sometimes our regulars fall into a rut.
Yeah.
And I've started to perceive that now that I'm on 2 years of doing this job now. I'm starting to perceive that even your faithful regulars will sometimes just go into kind of a rut. And
Yeah.
then I consider that a challenge as a teacher to try to pull them out.
Yeah. This was my
But
little
yeah.
hat.
Oh, nice.
That
Yeah.
didn't work. Nothing worked for this.
No, no, no.
The AR stickers didn't work.
But then you have, if I can make this point though, then you
Yeah.
have the students on the other hand. I have students that laugh at everything. I do the slightest thing and they think it's just maniacally
Yes.
hilarious. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't even get it. I don't think I'm that funny.
Yeah.
And they just, boy, those kind of students, of course, are
Yeah.
so easy.
Yeah. They just
Just
love
appreciation level is
any little thing. Yeah.
yeah.
I had a little girl that I actually had a trial that I converted, which
Yeah.
was unusual for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mom kept booking me and
Oh,
I
yeah.
realized she liked Elsa. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, good. I'll pull out all my Elsa stuff.
Sure.
And it was really fun. And we had still so much time left at the end of class. We had to draw Elsa.
Yeah.
We had to spell Elsa.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just like
Extension.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that lesson went on forever. It was funny. So I'm gonna look at
Yeah.
our friends here. We have
Yeah.
Kelly, Casey, Cindy, and Christy made it.
Yeah.
Hello, Christy. So we have 7 watching right now.
Oh, fantastic.
And I don't know. Thumbs
Yeah.
up, guys.
Some K's. We got some K's in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's
Case,
some alliteration
Christy.
going on.
Yeah. And a lot of times, if people don't watch during it, they'll watch it later.
Sure.
I have a lot of
Yeah.
people. I have one lady that she lives in Georgia. I was supposed to meet up with her at the Journey,
Yeah.
March 13th, and she's actually running a race today.
Okay.
So
Oh,
she's like,
nice.
I won't be able to watch the video, but I'll watch the playback.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I was like, I guess they're still doing that stuff. I thought they would shut that stuff down.
They shut it down in my area. There's no all the spring marathons and stuff are being moved to like August or something.
Yeah.
Which may even be optimistic. I don't even. They may be too optimistic. I mean.
I know.
So
It's
anyway.
so bizarre. It's so bizarre.
Yeah. But the teaching is, not to go on to a social commentary on this, but the teaching really is, and my wife and I were talking about this, the teaching is an oasis in the middle of this. I never could have, you really talk about God's providence. I never could have planned my life in such a way that I would be in a job where I can comfortably sit in my basement during a veritable
pandemic.
Yeah, definitely a pandemic. I'm trying to think of a word even stronger, but yeah, I don't have to worry about Beijing suddenly deciding, well, we don't, it's because they're in recovery.
Right.
If we were gonna lose our business, we would have already lost it because they're on the backside of that now.
That's true. I keep thinking China might shut us off just to spite us.
Because of the Well, I think they still value the education too highly.
Okay. Good. You comforted me on that.
Yeah.
That's one good.
Still priority.
Honestly, my husband has not really been excited about this job,
Yeah.
but God prepared me
Yeah.
because I just, it's just weird. He's been going through a lot of stuff with his own,
Yeah.
situation, whatever it is.
Yeah. Sure.
But I just kept going with it, and I tried to be respectful to family and not do like
Yeah.
evenings and not like
Yeah.
cut into family time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then when it came time to do the Wednesday night prayer meeting, and I said, this is how we're going to go. I was going to do a Zoom with all the people in the church.
Yeah.
But then a lot of them didn't know how to do that. Just
Yeah.
even signing into Zoom was too much. So
Yeah.
I said, okay, we're going to go live on Facebook, because I didn't really want to do live YouTube because it's
Yeah.
more like a family type thing.
Sure. Sure.
So we have a Facebook group for the church.
Yeah.
And my husband was like, just tell me what I need to do. And I was just like, and I just learned this like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So I
Sure.
feel like
Yeah.
I feel the same way, that God
Yeah.
prepared me for this time. And it's
Such a
also
time.
a
Yeah.
good distraction. Like if I was just home and only relying on his income
Yeah.
and scared to death because we don't have any money,
Yeah.
it
Right.
would be a lot different situation. At least this, I feel a little bit of control,
Well, and the thing of it is, in my situation, my wife works in a nursing home. She's an activities
Oh,
director,
wow. Okay.
and so she's at a job that's really recession proof because she has
Yeah, she'll
experience.
always be there.
They have to have her, and we talked about this the other night. I said, how do we end up in, because we both had major career changes. Maybe I'll say about that later, but and I said I end up in a job that I don't really have to worry about suddenly not having any students anymore. I don't think I do. I don't think I have to worry about that. And I said, we've got pretty stable income in the middle of something where a lot of people don't have that security,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I don't have to leave now she has to leave her house, but she has a very strict protocol when she's there. So it's pretty
Oh,
safe.
good.
But I mean, I could have still been in my old job in an office building that was already musty and full of hazards. They just now started letting people from my old job work at home. They spent 2 weeks under this, going in and out of the office. So
Yeah.
I didn't have any of that to worry about.
Yeah,
So
that's a blessing.
yeah.
Well, my husband works, he drives a truck.
Yeah.
So but he's by himself. Like he's a
Yeah.
pastor and he drives a truck, and we have hated it for 20 years. And I'm like, can't you get a different job? Because he has a 4-year degree. He's very smart. And he always felt that this is what he should be doing, but he doesn't make, high level money.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it is
he
what
over the road, like way over? Does he have to do a lot of
No,
overnight?
he just does local deliveries. He delivers oil to car dealerships.
Okay.
So, but that's a blessing. He's still working.
Yeah, that's
so he
right.
just has to be careful.
Yeah,
he has to be careful getting in and out of the truck. And like, instead of people signing paper now, they go, "Are you Joe?" And they go, "Yep, I'm Joe." "Okay, I'm signing your name right here."
Just imagine a day if by God's grace it happens where we're back to a normal routine. I mean, when I say normal, I mean, hopefully
we're not going to
be
able
lessons,
to.
but,
yeah. Once this is over, we're not going to trust people like we used to.
I fear the scars are going to be deep. Maybe in the same way that people coming out of the Depression, it changed the culture.
Yeah. Well, we did have a lady years ago. We had a lady that came with her son to our church, who she was like 89 or something. And she was just totally like, she couldn't handle the handshaking thing. Like she was just like, and then her son, who's probably 70 or something, he came up and he's like, "How can you shake hands? Like, that is so bad, And we're like, give it a rest. Like, if you don't want to shake hands, that's fine, but we're going to shake hands. But now we know. Now we know after this is over, we're going to have a whole different outlook on things. So we'll see how it goes and how the Lord, I'm just praying for America. I'm praying that God would show us himself in a way that he has not shown others, because when we had the Chinese kids, we could say, I'm praying for you. I did say that in my feedback. I'm praying for you.
I did too. Yeah.
But we couldn't say God is with you, trust in the Lord, that kind of thing. But we can here.
Yeah.
And we can call out to the Lord openly. So I'm praying that that God would honor that and show us mercy
Yeah.
that we
I,
don't know yet.
that's right. And I'll tell you what, honestly, as strange as it may sound, I feel like during that period, I was a little bit more bold with moms that I talk to in feedback or even on WeChat than I am sometimes with people that I know around here who are not believers.
Mm,
I feel actually sometimes more socially comfortable with the people in China. I guess maybe it's just familiarity. So this job can kind of cut you off in a sense from the culture around you because
it's
you're in the
true.
Chinese culture so much,
I know.
which is
I know.
it's not a complaint, it's a beautiful thing. But I thought to myself, okay, you wanted to encourage those kids when they were going through that, and I did say, hey, I'm praying for you, et cetera. I didn't quote a Bible verse, but I did say, yeah. And I thought, okay, now how can I do that now in this present crisis? Because outside of the people in my church, to be honest, I don't have a lot of contact with people out there in the world right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, my
I mean,
husband doesn't really either.
yeah, I
But
mean,
I'm always
so
reaching out. I'm always reaching out.
yeah,
And like we have
yeah,
a bunch of Christian, well, not even just on the Christian group, but I have friends, YouTubers and all that stuff.
yeah, yeah,
And I was telling my kids even, I said, it's amazing what words can do. Like we think
yeah,
all I can do is say I'm praying for you, but
yeah.
sometimes that's enough,
Yes, yes,
sometimes that is what
yes,
people need. And then
yeah,
when you pray for someone, I have a list, and then you go back and you ask them how that person's doing. That
yeah.
means the world to them.
Well, you really, I'll just tell you this anecdotally. I heard John Piper one time say that he knew of someone that got saved, and they got saved after someone walked past them on the beach and said, "God bless you." Now, what had happened was they had come under so much conviction for
Mm,
months prior to that, people planting seeds in their lives over and over and over again. And at that moment, just hearing those words just broke them. And they said they repented and turned to Christ. I don't know if they did it right there on the beach, but it was because of that last word. So you never know that one little word, you don't know where that is in the chain
yeah, because
of
they're
God.
like,
Oh, yeah.
God is speaking to me through a stranger, even.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. See,
exactly.
we're so used to the language that maybe it becomes white noise to us, but maybe not to
Right.
that person. So,
Right.
you know,
So I think during this time, being
yeah,
able to encourage people, even with words, we feel like it's not much, but
yeah,
it's a lot, and it
it
can get
is.
people through hard times. All right.
Absolutely.
So my first question for you is share a little bit about yourself.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, I'm from Kentucky, where we wash our windows. We wash our windows. That's what we do.
Do you mind me asking where my son, one of my
Yeah,
boys is in Kentucky, and I'll have to figure
yeah,
out what city it is.
yeah.
You're near
Uh,
Indiana, right?
yeah, I was born raised in
Because
Louisville,
I
although we
was
didn't.
thinking,
Yeah,
okay, so
yeah.
where are you, up northern Kentucky?
No, I'm right over the border from Louisville, directly over the river. You just go right
Okay.
across the Ohio River, and you're there. Yeah.
Okay.
If you got in the car in Louisville and just drove across the bridge, within 15, 20 minutes of there. So
Okay.
I try to tell people if I tell people I'm from Indiana and they're from, I don't know, California, they think, oh, it's cold there all the time. I'm like, no, that's northern Indiana.
Right.
We're
Right.
more influenced by the southern flow, thank the Lord. So
Yeah.
we get more of Kentucky's weather than we do northern
Okay.
Indiana. Northern
So
Indiana is a
are
different
you near
climate.
the Ark Encounter at all? That was
The
the Ark
the
Encounter.
Ark Encounter. Probably about an hour and a half away.
Okay.
Yeah, an
Yeah, we
hour
were
and a half
supposed to be
northeast.
going there. We were supposed to be going there in April with the school,
Okay. I haven't
but
been yet. I went to the Creation Museum some years ago, and I've been to the Indianapolis Children's Museum. It's not a Christian museum, okay, but it's worth it if you ever get up to Indianapolis. But even Indianapolis is a different climate, though. It really is. There's a lot of
yeah.
snow there. We don't. Every once in a while we get a big snow, but we have winters like we had this winter where we had a dusting. That's it. That's all we got. One dusting, one or two dustings. So anyway,
Very good.
but let me tell
Yeah.
you. Yeah, you asked me though where I got. Yeah, I grew up in Louisville and. Or just outside of Louisville in a tiny little farming community outside of Louisville, which is really nice. And I don't know what else you want to know.
All right. Well, how did you find VIP
How
Kid,
to find VIP Kid? Okay, yeah, that's the
and
important
why?
question.
Why and how?
Okay, I found VIP Kid through a somebody that's in our Christian group. Her name is Brianna. Okay, I don't know if she's watching, but anyway, I had been laid off from my job, but I still had like a month left on it. This is August 2017. Make a long story short, I was ready to go. I had been praying that the Lord, after 20 years of being an editor, I was ready to say goodbye to it. It was boring. It was no longer challenging. And I didn't like corporate. That's another story. I was in a Facebook group where I said, hey, does anybody have any work at home ideas? Because I decided I really wanted to work at home. And a lady named Brianna from our group mentioned it. I was a little bit skeptical, but I thought, why not? So anyway, I began working on that in September of 2017. But then I had to have major surgery that almost became brain surgery, but not quite.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, thank the Lord, did not become that. So then I was on the kibosh for a long time, and I was in recovery for quite a while. And I didn't know if I was actually ever going to be able to do it again. If I was going to be able to continue this. I began the process. I made a good recovery. The Lord was gracious, and in spring of 2018, I guess, is when I really began in earnest with VIPKID. I've been there 2 years. Been here 2 years, there 2
years.
Yeah,
you just signed your what?
2-year contract this
2-year
month.
contract.
Yeah. So
that's the what? 1, 2. Is it the 5th?
5. I think it's 5. Yeah. Not quite the hoodie. Yeah. But and
Are
anyway,
you gonna buy the hoodie?
I probably will buy the hoodie.
I'm in the I will buy the hoodie group too.
I'll probably break down it. So I've enjoyed it. It's been, I'll tell you, I didn't know if it would be able to turn into a full-time thing for me. I had made up my mind I might have to do part-time work. But it became so, when I say lucrative, I mean, none of us is, we're not becoming billionaires, but it became enough of an income that it all but replaced my last income. Very close. Now, you don't have the insurance benefits and stuff. We're still trying to sort that out.
Yeah.
My wife has insurance. My kids do, but I'm the one that's not covered. So we're going to have to figure that out this year. But long story short, it took off. It took a long time. It took a long time for me to get consistent bookings. But yeah, so it's been great.
I have people in here saying, I will buy the hoodie. Cindy Plummer. Oh, Kelly's going to buy the hoodie too. And Christy too.
Does anybody want to go half and half on a hoodie? We'll share it.
Share it.
I'll take summer. You can take winter. If you're from
That's
Florida,
an option. If the economy goes really tank up, we could just all buy one hoodie and pass it around.
Pass it around, and you can have it. We'll do it depending on the season. For example, if you live in Florida and it's winter, you can have it during the winter months.
That's true. Yeah, that might be a consideration. Way back when they had the hoodie apocalypse, I made a little video and it was just kind of funny, and people were like, thumbs down. I can't believe you would be. I'm just like, it is what it is, guys. Like, they didn't write in your contract, you will definitely get a hoodie, but it was a cool benefit, but I can understand.
I'm thinking to myself as I was reading that whole debate, that went back and forth for quite a while, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm just happy I have a work at home job for crying out loud.
Exactly.
I mean,
and you can save up for a hoodie, like just eat mac and cheese for a few days and
do 4 extra classes or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I am so bad at night. Like last night I had a class at like 9:30, 10 and 10:30. And by the end of the 3rd class, I'm like, I don't know how people do these all-nighters.
I just want to say to you and your group, okay, I have been there many times. Now that I'm a veteran with VIPKID, where you say things in class and you don't even know what you just said. It's just totally, completely off the wall. I've gotten better. I've started to find different things to do, eat something in between, whatever, But I'm telling you, it's every once in a while, I will still just zone out and say something that was off the wall. And I just play it off. I'm like, okay, let's go on to the next slide.
Yeah, that's why they like you so much.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, did anybody notice? I cannot believe I have not gotten a bad review for drowsiness in class. I cannot believe it. I deserve
Well, you wear the dark glasses. That might help.
It does help. I'm the Ronnie Millsap.
I was there today. This morning, I'm like, I had a couple kids that were like, I had one kid that put Dino up. I think his mother was always by his side for the last few months. And then today, I think his mother must have been gone. I think grandma was in charge.
You can tell when mom's not there with the challenging ones.
Yeah, I think grandma was in charge and he knew it. So I taught Dino most of the time.
But I'll tell you what, let me say this though, for what it's worth. It may or may not be worth it, but I would rather deal with the kid that's really, really super charged up and can't pay attention than the kid like I had, I'm not going to say his name,
Yeah.
But I had the
He
student
might watch
last night.
this video
He
someday
might
when
watch
he's
this video
older.
someday. But I had the student that he was just checked out. He was looking down, and he was
Yeah.
actually having a conversation. I think I mentioned this in our group. He was having a conversation periodically with his mom, her and him back and forth, and they're just acting like I'm not even here. I'm like, hello, teacher, Lausha, Lausha, Lausha
Oh,
Todd,
that's
right here.
funny. That's
And I was
funny.
just like, I don't think he wants to do the class. I don't even think she wants him to do the class. I'm like, is there a reason why I'm here? Somebody else I'm supposed to meet with? It was very hard
Oh,
for
that
that
is so
reason.
funny.
Yeah, I'd much rather
Yeah.
deal with a kid that's like, hey, teacher, 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 and can't pay
Yeah.
attention than the kid that has no interest level whatsoever.
Yeah, that's hard.
Much harder to me.
Well,
That's much
I've had
harder.
a few students that it looks like they're playing some other video game, or
Yeah.
it's so really annoying. And it used to be when I first started, when things like that happened, you could contact the firemen and they would call the family.
Yeah.
But it's not like that anymore. We're kind of on our own, you know.
Well, and I thought to myself, there's no point to contacting mom. She's part of the problem.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Who am I going to complain about? I mean, it's her and him. They were actually like going back and forth and laughing and stuff. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Which,
I had my student today, he told on me. It said, student says that student is complaining, or whatever that statement is.
Really? Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not worried about it. The fireman is nowhere to be found. So I'll just keep going. They can rewatch the video. So, all right. So my next question is, are you tech savvy?
Oh, no. And in fact, let me just say this. If it hadn't been for my 18-year-old son, okay, who can be a real pain in the butt, you know.
Oh, but, I've read your stories. Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say this: if there's one thing that he did for me that I will always remember him for, okay, he really helped me on the technical side to set up this whole thing.
Right.
I couldn't have done it. He just knows that stuff. He just knows it intuitively.
Oh, that's awesome.
I could not have done it. I would have had to hire somebody probably to set everything up. He set the whole computer webcam set up with the lights, my lighting, all of that. He worked through all of that. This is before he was working outside the home. He's got a part-time job now. But he was very, very.
Is he still working? You said he was at McDonald's, right?
He is, and I don't know how I feel about that. Part of me wants to tell him to quit. But at the same time, you know, he's been very industrious and he's really all in. And I don't want to, I don't want that bubble to burst. Yeah. So we're just trying to play it day by day, and
they're taking precautions, like as long as you're in.
He's in the grill area. He says he says, Dad, I'm in the grill area. I'm not exposed to customers really at all. And he says, I do the sanitizer and all that stuff. We haven't had a lot of cases in my county, just a handful, and they've been pretty spread out. So we don't think there's a conglomeration of it just yet. But all that is to say, no, I'm not tech savvy. And honestly, Cindy, it's there's days now. I don't do this as much as I used to. I used to go into class, start my schedule, and just like hold my breath, hoping that I'd make it to the end without any major issues. But now that I have the wherever it is iPad, I don't worry as much. I know you're a big proponent of the iPad.
Yeah, I have an iPad Facebook group. This is
I know. It's like a little cult over there.
It is. Well, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. But really, I started it just because I know a lot of people have an iPad, and I figured they probably don't realize you have something that you can either teach with or you can use as a backup.
Yeah, it's great for a backup. And for people that are not tech savvy, let me say this, because somebody might watch this program and they might say, well, I've just started the VIPKID, or I want to start the VIPKID and I'm not tech savvy. I have picked up enough stuff on my own without being tech savvy that I've learned on my own, like how to adjust my webcam,
right?
How to refresh the page, how to switch lines. You can learn some of that stuff on your own. I don't think you really have to be tech savvy to do this job.
Yeah.
It may help you, okay, because you don't have to call your son and say, hey, I need help. But for the most part, once you get everything going the direction it's supposed to go, in my experience, it's been fairly reliable. I know some people have some nightmare stories.
It's just getting going. And there's a lot of help. Like there's a lot of people who make videos to help.
There is.
You get on a group, there's a lot of people that are willing to help you out. and get
That's
you
right.
going. I had
Absolutely.
never made, well, actually, I got into the computer, this kind of thing when I sold Pampered Chef for a while.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah,
they do a lot with computer. They do their meetings on Zoom. We were doing videos on Facebook groups, stuff like that.
yeah,
But there was a
yeah,
lot of stuff with VIPKID that I didn't know. We just did one thing at a time,
yeah. That's right.
and
Yeah,
eventually you get
yeah.
there.
You get
So
there. Yeah, that's right.
yeah. So what is your
Yeah.
VIPKID schedule?
Okay. Well, right now my modified schedule because of my virus schedule uh,
Yeah.
is it is. Let me think. It is. So I usually start around 4:30 or 5 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. You're on the Eastern Standard Time in New Hampshire,
Yes.
right? Okay, okay. 4:30 or 5. So yeah, a lot of times 5:30 right now, honestly. And I work until about 8:30 or 9. And then in the evening, I go, well, it used to be 7:30. Now, 8:30 to 11:30 or sometimes midnight. And I try to schedule some breaks in there. Now, I say modified schedule because I know when all the kids are back in school, this is going
Right.
to be, it's going to be more like 3 a.m.
Oh
to
man.
8 or 8:30, which is pretty exhausting. It ends up coming with weekends, and I don't work. I try to schedule every second or third Saturday night off. Go out with my wife, go
Yeah,
over to
that's
friends.
good.
Sometimes we'll go to friends' house. I try to schedule us off. I try not to do too much on Sunday night. Sometimes I don't do Sunday night at all.
Yeah.
I only do that if I feel like I really have to. But everybody's got a different goal. I try to get right around 80. Some people want to go up to 100.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of somebody in particular in our group that does around there.
Yeah.
But that's about what we need to make our incomes to where we can pay all of our bills and put some money to the side and get to the church or whatever. That's about what we need. So,
Okay.
so
Good.
does that answer your question? That's my
Yeah.
schedule. I double shift right now. I double shift.
Yeah.
I do Friday nights almost every single Friday night. And I don't mind Friday night, honestly. I think it's I try to turn it into a bit of a party. And
Yeah.
I try to think of it like that. I'm going to go out with the kids, and sort of party atmosphere.
Yeah.
But I will do about every other Saturday night and keep one off just for recreation and things.
So is that okay? Like you don't have a hard time with bookings if you switch your schedule to sometimes you don't open Saturdays. Do you end
Not
up?
really. No, I don't lose a lot of. Most of my regulars pretty much track with me. And if I feel like I need to make an announcement on WeChat, I'll do that. Or if I feel like I need to let them know in feedback, particularly during holidays.
Right.
I was actually going to make an announcement on WeChat. Hey, moms, I might not be as available during the NCAA basketball tournament. I'll be watching that with the kids. But then, of course, we all
Yeah.
know what happened with that. And so
Yeah.
that announcement never went out.
Yeah.
So they're very good.
That's what made me decide, because I was going to go to Atlanta even though they canceled Journey, and I said,
Yeah.
if they're canceling the NBA, I'm not pushing it to go all the
Yeah.
way to Atlanta. My husband was going to
Yeah.
let me.
Really?
He
That's a long
wasn't
drive to
saying
New Hampshire.
well, I had a plane ticket and everything.
Okay. Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I was
Yeah.
going to go, and I had friends I was going to meet up with in
Yeah.
Atlanta, even though the Journey was canceled.
Yeah.
But I had
Yeah.
paid for the tickets and everything from VIPKID money. And
Yeah.
so then I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
And everything went downhill from there. So I'm glad I didn't
Sure.
go.
Yeah.
But so I
Exactly.
have another question for you.
Yeah. Sure. Go ahead.
How do
Yeah.
you handle distracted kids?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, this is going to sound very passive and not very manly, I suppose, for lack of a better word. But I tend to kind of go along with wherever the kids are. Okay. In other words, if I see that the kid is distracted with games, which doesn't come up a lot, then I will try to engage that as a conversation. Okay. Hey, tell me about that. Five Nights at Freddy's. I have a kid that's really distracted with Five Nights at Freddy's. And I've just started incorporating it into the class. And more often than not, I'd say 9 times out of 10, honestly, when I do that, then I can generally keep the kid going with the lesson. Okay. It's not going to be as good as it should be, but he will at least answer because he feels like almost a sense of obligation.
Yeah.
I don't really, honestly, distraction doesn't bother me unless it's like in the case of the kid that just is not engaging me at all and he's talking to his mom. But if you're talking about a kid that's like, he still wants to, I have a kid that I'm thinking of right now. I had him today. He wants to talk to me and he wants to be my friend. He just would rather us talk about things other than the lesson if possible.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will say, okay, Bill, let's do this. Let's read this with me. Okay. And then I will let him go from there and say, hey, teacher, let me show you this. And so almost like a reward, but I don't announce it as a reward. It just sort of becomes natural. Now, if you're talking about what do I do if a kid is out of the room and just disappears for, 15 minutes at a time, I just try to do as much as I can when they're back in the class. But there's some kids you're just not going to be able to last
Right,
in.
right.
And they're just,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe Nancy Taylor could figure out a solution.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, maybe, but yeah, it's, but I am not a strict teacher in the sense that I'm going to sternly try to discipline that kid. I know they're in school, they do a lot of, I know they're at home right now doing home studies, but I mean, they're at school. It's when normally it's got to be very exhausting. The hours that I hear some of these kids are in school are just, I cannot, my kids would just die. And so I try to be very sympathetic to that.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that too. I'm not majorly stern about it because I feel like this is kind of extra for them. But what level do you like the best?
Yeah. Well, I would have answered, if you had asked me that a few months ago, I probably would have said 7 because, it's very advanced. It's very sophisticated. For those that are watching that are not teaching 7 yet, but are thinking about it. Yeah, I think it's a very sophisticated thing. It's kind of like you've graduated from taking your girlfriend out to McDonald's, and now you're taking her out to, the steakhouse.
Yeah.
It's not a Pinto, it's a Mercedes.
Yeah.
But I would probably say 6 though, actually, because I think the content is more varied. You get with 7, you get so many of those lessons on helping the community, which is fine. But in my world, they tend to cycle an awful lot. Yeah. I see a lot more variety with level 6.
I think I agree. I think they have way too many lessons in one unit for level 7. It's like, you're like that term beating a dead horse. It's like, let's move on. Like when I first went through the first cycle, I'm like, really another 4 on the same subject? I am with you on that.
Well, there's 2 other reasons that I like 6 better. One is that I think level 6 for me rebooks a lot easier than level 7. I don't know if it's because you have to have 2 slots, but my level 7 kids come and go. I don't get them all that consistently.
Yeah. And, I have one level 7 I would not book at all if I didn't book through the LP.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
See, it's hard. And if you really love that kid and you want to have them back, it's kind of frustrating when, you don't get them. But, and I'll tell you another thing that I've noticed with, and there's exceptions to this, but I found that level 7 kids, some of my level 7 kids at least, the ones that I have off and on, they tend to, I don't know, maybe they feel like they've gotten to the point where they're just, they're way up here, and some of them, there's a little bit of hubris, and it becomes a little bit difficult to teach them because they almost feel like they're a little bit above the curricula. Level 6 kids seem like they're still like, they're aggressive. They want to get to 7. They're excited. I have a level 6 kid right now that is just absolutely phenomenal. Her interest and her enthusiasm and her ability to speak English is just, it's euphoria. I get so excited. And her mom, praise the Lord, her mom books her like 8-9 times a week.
Wow.
So like
that's
every time.
Level 7?
No, level 6. Level 6. Level
okay.
6. But I told her mom, I said,
awesome.
She's close to 7. I say, she's so close to 7. She could be there. So it's, I'd say 6, I guess.
I have one student that skipped some of 6 and went into 7. I wish he had just finished 6.
You think it was a bit,
he was ready, but I think that now he was doing 2 times a week and now he's only doing 1. So it's like, what's the point? You could have just stayed in level 6. But
do you do level 1?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about level 1?
I don't mind. I don't think I'd want to do level 1 like every single class.
Yeah, right.
But usually for me, it's like I'll have a group of classes and I'll have a level 1 thrown in there, and it kind of gives spice to my day.
Yeah. Are they typically like 3 or 4, right?
4 or 5. 4 or 5. Yeah. I don't.
Is that a challenge or not?
Oh, so you haven't done level 1 yet?
No, I don't do level 1.
Oh yeah,
No.
no, it's not a challenge. They're
Okay.
adorable.
Okay. Okay. It works well. Okay.
And the thing is, the level 1 I like because they start out so young that they don't
Yeah.
have as much trouble with the pronunciation.
I see.
So
Okay.
when you
Yeah.
tell them words, they repeat the exact sounds that you say.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I
Yeah.
think, if you studied your, TESOL
Yeah.
certificate, you realize that the earlier
Yeah.
that they start, the better their language. Like I had a
Yeah.
level
Yeah.
6 the other day. It was like you had to pick which words that you would help with
Oh,
because
yeah. Right.
every word needed help,
I see that with 5. Some I see it with 4 quite a bit.
So I think level 1
So
is fun and you can
yeah.
I'm not a major prop person. Like I do
Yeah.
props, but I'm not over the top with props because I can
Okay.
get
Yeah.
to where if I have too much, I lose it and I don't have it anyway. But there's these signs that were printed out by one of our teachers,
Oh,
or not printed
yeah.
out, but put online, and I printed these out. So I
Yeah.
use these for like, this is Jamaica and this is the
Mhm.
person.
Mhm.
And then these are the
Yeah.
pictures. And I kind of use this
Yeah.
because it's all on one page.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I love it. I like it. Like I said, I don't know if I'd want to do it all classes that level,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think
Yeah.
anybody can do level 1 and they would love
Yeah.
it. I
I've got
mean,
it sitting there churning
you
in
should
under my
go for it
certifications because I began the process and then I just, yeah, whatever.
because you probably won't get, fully booked with level 1.
Right.
But one of
Yeah.
the tricks that I did last month was I said, I'm only going to take priority bookings.
Yeah.
And then after the frenzy, I'm going to open up the slots short notice, all the
Yeah.
ones that were available that I could still teach. And that helped me to get more trials and
Yeah.
more, a variety of students,
Ah, I see.
and plus
Yeah.
a little bit more money.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
might
So
be
you
a
get
thing you might want to
yeah.
try.
I wonder if your people that are watching this. Here's a question I'd like to throw out there. If they get do they get trials very often? Because I used to get nothing but trials because I was just a rookie and that's all I got. And now here I am 2 years later and I never get trials. It's so funny. I never
Yeah.
get them.
And I've talked about with my friends because we're doing that trial cup thing.
Yeah.
Kelly said she tried the level 1 today.
Yeah.
But I already know because we've talked about it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is how you can get new trials, is to leave some slots closed. Don't book them all at frenzy. And
Oh,
then just
yeah.
remember to open them short notice.
I see. So
And
that's how yeah.
a lot of times the booked info pending will jump in there
Okay.
when
Yeah.
you have an
Right.
opening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay.
unless, how many followers do you have?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
You can check.
A good number, I guess.
Get
I
your
don't know.
phone.
Yeah, I do.
Where I
Yeah.
can't remember what I did with my phone.
Now, I'm at a conference with
If you
Cindy right now. Call back later.
Sorry. Yeah, Cindy, I'm sure they know who I am.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. There's no way on there.
Oh.
Let's see here.
I
I'm
can't
trying to.
remember what I did with my phone. I had it here.
Where do you look on here? Right here.
What did I do with my phone?
Oh, it's under your account. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So your
it's in there.
is your followers the first number or the second number?
The number near the flower.
Okay, 458. That's not very many.
Oh, that's awesome.
That sounds like
Yeah, I
next to
only
nothing.
have like 180, I think.
Oh, I thought you're supposed to
So,
have like 15.
well, the thing is, the more followers you have,
Yeah.
like you should definitely start trying to open
Yeah.
short notice because you would be able to make more money that way.
So what is a follower? Help me out with this. What does a follower mean exactly? I mean, we know what it means on Facebook. Somebody doesn't want to be your friend but wants to read you.
Yeah. I believe this is what it is. Like, I'm not sure exactly how it happens.
Yeah.
But somehow they find out, like, when you have a short notice available, they get notified.
Really?
So if you have openings available, they get
Yeah.
notified and they can, book those slots. So this is what I would do. I like to keep my priority bookings. You don't have to. But you could even pick a day where you say, I'm going to do all short notice on Monday. Monday's actually not a good day for me, but maybe Tuesday. And so you could just keep those closed. You could tell your WeChat parents, look for me on the short notice schedule or whatever. That's what my friend says. I will be opening only short notice on Tuesdays.
I see.
And then when you open it, they get notified, and then they book you, and you get $2 extra per class.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not exploited. I mean, I usually do put things down as short notice, but I haven't really exploited that strategically as much as I should.
Yeah. I actually got that idea from a newer teacher who's making YouTube videos, and he gives all this advice, and he has really no idea what he's talking about, but he just makes up, he's really smart, and he makes up strategies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds really good. And so then I tried it and I was like, I don't want to just go straight short notice because I might not get booked. Right. If you can hear my dog, I'm sorry that my kids just walked in the door.
I got 2 dogs myself.
But I would recommend that for you, because I only have 200 followers and you have over 400.
Yeah.
And you could even, if you look up Online Teacher Dude, have you seen his videos?
I've heard that name actually, but I don't know if I've ever actually watched it though. Yeah.
He's one of the guys that he refers a lot, and he has a lot of videos, and he does all short notice.
I see.
And so he makes more money doing that. And I think he probably has like over 1,000 followers or something.
I see.
But that would be maybe a goal you could work towards.
Sure.
You know.
That way you're increasing the profitability of
so the money that you're making, say you do 80 classes, 80 times 2 is $160 per week.
Wow.
That's
so I could buy that hoodie without even thinking about it. I could buy a hoodie for more people. I could give them away.
There you go. You could start your own YouTube channel, and you could give out hoodies. You would have lots of subscribers.
Lots of subscribers. Yeah. Maybe I would even, I'm just thinking, let me just mention this. One of the reasons I wanted to do this is because I would love to do workshops someday. I think a lot of us would probably like to do that, right?
Yeah. And I think we all had dreams to do it, but now with 100,000 teachers, it's like, get in line.
Exactly, but I wanted to see how well I could do with just being because it occurred to me the other day, I have not actually sat in a workshop in forever. Do you ever go to a workshop?
I haven't really, no, because I'm always doing YouTube or I'm doing teaching. So
I
haven't, but there is a lot of new stuff coming out, and there's new availability. They did do a new trial workshop for trials, and I'm telling you, the last month I did the strategy, like I just told you, I have taught maybe almost 20 trials now, 15 to 20 trials I've taught. I've had 2 conversions, and one of those has turned into a regular. And I also got lots of 5 apples from those classes.
That is so nice. I have to tell you, the very first class that I ever did for VIPKID, and I looked at it a few months ago. Oh my gosh. And it was just, it was a disaster. It was a complete disaster. And it was my very first class. It was a trial. And the girl said speeder for spider. And I just said, okay, great. I had no idea how to do anything. Her dad was there the whole class. She was very polite. She was very mature. Her dad was very polite. That's the only reason I didn't get a bad review, is that they were just nice. They were just nice. And so help me, I looked, and she is still with VIPKID from that first class. Like, how in the world did I convert this student with the worst possible teaching performance imaginable? Great. So you just never know how God's going to work.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, trials can be frustrating, because also among those 15 to 20, I've had some that didn't show up.
Yeah.
Some have bad IT issues.
That's right. Yeah.
So there are some drawbacks to trials, like that guy I was telling you about that I got the strategies from. Yeah. He's like, I told them to take away my trial certificate. I don't want to teach trials anymore.
Yeah.
But I was on the other side of it. I wanted to teach some trials. So, we're all at different places, and I'm glad that I did it. And I don't get a lot of trials. I think I have one tonight, But I like them because I have it
Yeah.
down to, usually it's the little kids. I have like 3 or 4 props for the class.
Yeah.
I always use my monkey, and I
Yeah.
get a reward that my friend made this. My friend Evelyn made this for me. And
Yeah.
I put that in. My monkey gets bananas, and I'm like, these kids go crazy over bananas.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's a routine for me, and I really like it. I like starting out, they're kind of shy, and by the end of the class, they're like your best friend.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just think that's really awesome.
Let me say this as a testimonial, if I could. To me, one of the most, and I could talk about rewarding things. We'd be here all day, and we both get nothing done. But one of the most rewarding things to me, though, about the job is hearing a parent express that they recognized how much they're. I have this new kid. She's level 2, and I don't have very many level 2s anymore. Honestly, I don't get that many anymore, and I get some 3s, okay, but level 2 has gone way down for me. It's been mostly 4, 5, 6, okay. 3, 4, 5, I'd say, and then some 6. But anyway, she was extremely shy the first couple classes. And then she got to where she began to trust me. And then she was smiling and participating. And her mom wrote this review right after I was watching the news on the latest coronavirus update and feeling very down. I happened to glance down. Her mom had written a review saying that she recognized that she trusts me and how much she appreciated that. That is deeply satisfying, seeing a child thousands of miles away from a different culture group completely who begins to trust you as a teacher.
Right.
I mean, I would do this job, I think, even if I only did 5 classes a week.
I know.
Just for the opportunity to maybe have that, as long as I'm mentally able to do so, and I'm not slipping so much that I'm saying completely off the wall things. Well, some people say that's not any different than now, but you get snow coming in New Hampshire, by the way.
My friend Kelly says the guy I was telling you about that took away the trial certificate.
Yep.
He made another video and he wants it back because bookings are down.
Oh, yeah, that does happen. See, that's why I never drop a cert, because you just never know what's going to happen out there.
And things change. Like it's all an experiment. Like the thing about the company is there's a lot of things we don't know. Yeah, and that's why in the current state of America, I'm like sort of used to it. Like I'm working for a job that I don't really know who the leaders are. And I know in my country is acting that way too.
It is. It's scary. I'm sorry. I'm looking for a cough drop. Sorry, keep talking.
Okay.
Where's my cough drop?
So, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is, Cindy. It is. Yeah.
I have another question for you. What is your favorite prop?
Oh, okay. All right. I'll tell you one that I used to use a long time ago. And not that long ago. I would say it was a 2019 model. And I've kind of dropped it, unfortunately. Props kind of come and go for me. And I kind of dropped this guy. I don't use him much anymore, but he used to be such a big hit. I got some paint all over him, though. This was my favorite for a long time. Can everybody see this?
Oh, that's great.
You can see, and you can pretend to feed him,
that's really cute.
And then I act like he's choking.
That is really good. I like it.
I throw it behind me like that.
I want one of those.
I would say my favorite prop, believe it or not.
That would really perk the kids up.
It does. The kids love it. But I used it so often that I actually got tired of him. And so I decided to retire him for a while. He might come out of retirement. But I guess my favorite prop right now, honestly, is this. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. What do you do with that?
Well, I'll tell you what you can do with it. First of all, you can act like you just had a snowball fight if you're doing a weather lesson. See? You just got hit with a snowball. Or you can talk about like your routine in the morning. You're doing one of those lessons about your routine. Okay, I'll say, how Dad gets up in the morning and shaves? They love that. I even have a razor here. I'll shave in class. I just do a little bit of shaving in class.
Cute.
My wife's like, that's the only time you shave. And there's just so many things.
Do the Chinese people shave? Like
the kids tell me Dad shaves.
Okay.
And I saw a Dad with a 5 o'clock shadow the other day. So or you can act like it's cake mix. We're cooking in the kitchen. Yeah.
Oh my word, I'm gonna get some of that.
Or you can act like Grandpa. You can put it on if you're tired of the AR stickers, and you want to look like Grandpa or Grandma.
Or even Santa, the Grandma thing.
And then I always go like this. I'm like, oh no, now I don't know what to do with it. They think that's hilarious. I'm like, I don't know. Just keep going with the lesson.
That would keep kids interested.
Anyway,
I'm totally getting some of that.
yeah. Now I
What do
have to
you
get it
do
off.
on Monday? I'm gonna
Yeah,
shave on Monday. That was my class today. What
yeah.
is the first day of the week? What do you
Oh gosh, yeah. See, that's the thing
yeah,
is that some of the lessons you really have to pull out all stops
that's great.
so that you keep from losing your mind. I mean, it's really, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So another question is, what are your qualities? What are your qualities that you consider for a good teacher?
okay. My number one. I mean, obviously, you have to have comprehension of the material.
Yeah, that would
Um,
work. That would be
yeah.
good.
I did not have a lot of, I would sub sometimes. I did some subbing at our private school a few times, but I taught a Bible class at our school, our local private thing, you know, for a while, but I didn't have a lot of teaching experience, but I did have a background in editorial. And
Okay.
so you know, I was dealing with English language and, you know, that kind of thing every day. So
Right.
it was fairly easy for me with a preaching background, teaching the Bible all the time, to
Right.
be able to
Right.
combine
You
those two
are a
things.
teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But having said that, I would say outside of comprehension, of course, I would say the really tangible quality I think is you need to be a great encourager to the kids.
Mm,
The kids to me need a lot of encouragement. My kids just do a lot better when they feel like they're getting constant positive affirmation. I don't think that makes me in any way unique, but I have seen some YouTube videos of teachers teaching, and I did not sense that they were doing an awful lot of positive encouragement. It was
mm.
fairly pedantic, if you would. If you would. Told one of my favorite students the other day. In fact, I tell her I shouldn't say this, but I said, you know, you're my favorite student. And she just smiled. But
You
I said,
say
look,
that to all the students.
there's about three, probably three. But she's like really, honestly, she is the favorite of the favorite. But I told her, I said, look, I said, I'm not just your teacher. I am. We've had about 17 classes together now. I said, I am your coach. And I told her mom
Yeah.
that too on WeChat or no, not in feedback. I'm on WeChat with the daughter, but not the mom, which is kind of weird. But anyway, I said, I want your daughter to see me as a coach. And what I mean
Hmm.
by that is as someone who positively exhorts
Hmm. Yeah.
and builds up that confidence. When the kids do well, if you ever see me teach, I'm always like, yes, yes, yes. And I'm always like, just like they're on the sideline, you know, cheering the team on. And it's honestly, it's very authentic. I get very, very excited when kids are doing well. I do.
Awesome.
I don't have to try to manufacture that. It's very natural. I'm excited when I
Yeah.
see a kid do well, whether it's a regular who's always an A student or whether it's a struggler. I've got a kid that's been struggling and he read yesterday and I could not believe how much better he's reading. And
Good.
I don't know what, I told my wife, I said, you know what? I didn't have him for about 3 weeks. I said, maybe some other teacher was able to figure something out.
Oh,
I
maybe.
said, because his reading was just abominable at level
Yeah.
5.
Oh,
And I
wow.
said, he's
Yeah.
still making some mistakes, but he is
Yeah.
doing so much better. And I can see the confidence building up in him,
Yeah.
which is just, yeah,
Awesome.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah. I
love it.
love that too.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that
So,
too. That's
yeah,
awesome. That is a really good thing.
yeah,
I like
yeah.
that. So what do you think your strength? Do you think that's your strength as a teacher then?
Yeah, I hope it is. Gosh, yeah, yeah, I would like to think so. And I think that
Yeah.
I have a pretty good knack for being comical. I was kind of a class
Yeah.
clown in high school, way back in
Okay.
the way back in the 1940s.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
I was always into what can I do to make everybody in the room laugh, and so that is something that's an acquisition that I can easily apply to the classroom.
Yeah. Well,
And which, yeah,
you should think about doing a YouTube channel and
I thought about it.
sharing your stories
Yeah.
because I really like reading your stories
Oh,
about
thank you.
how you
Yeah.
express the class and little things that happen, and I think other
Yeah.
teachers would really enjoy listening
Shishani.
to that.
I
Yeah.
will tell you, by the way, I know it's a little bit controversial, uh, but I find that if you can, and I'll just throw this out there as a tip, okay? If you get a mom and the kid in the class at the same time, and you can throw out a little bit of rudimentary Mandarin, the moms love it. They just love that. They
Yeah, I
feel
got to work
I.
on that.
Oh gosh, I have felt such a bond. I mean, I know you can't, you don't want to turn the class into a Chinese lesson. Obviously, they already have that. But if you can, sometimes, particularly if it's a culture lesson, you know, I won't just say ni hao. I'll say, oh, Hinganchen Rinchen, you know, and that kind of thing. And the kid's just like, mom, mom, mom. I've had kids go, mom, mom, mom. He speaks Chinese, and I'm like, no, no, wait a minute. I'm just working on it. I'm trying. And the
Well,
moms
the
will
thing
sometimes
is,
love that. Yeah, they love it.
I don't know what they're told because
Yeah,
like way when I first started, I had a
yeah,
student and in the lesson it says something about what is your Chinese name.
yeah,
My
yeah,
student told me, I can't tell you my Chinese name. I can't say Chinese during the English lesson.
yeah. I
So
think
I
that's a
thought that was a
parental thing.
rule.
I think that's a parental
Okay.
predilection. I do not. I don't get that vibe really formally at all. And if I feel like the parent, but I've never gotten any kind of negative feedback on that. Like, please don't talk to my kid. I think they appreciate the fact that you're trying to make a cultural connection.
Yeah.
And I
I
will
think maybe
sometimes,
they're told that we don't want to learn Chinese or something, or it's too
maybe
hard for
so,
us or something.
maybe so.
They're
And I will tell you,
surprised.
yeah. And another thing that I will do, just since we're on the subject, is there's a particular YouTube channel that I watch where it's a Canadian guy who goes throughout China and does videos of him going to the food scene, the local culinary scene,
Okay.
and he
Okay.
speaks fluent Chinese. So I will show that sometimes, and I will freeze frame it and say, "Tell me what this dish is," and he'll have it listed there. And they love that. Their eyes light up. Oh yeah, yeah, we eat that. One of my moms said, "We ate at that restaurant that you're looking at. We ate at that restaurant a week ago." And
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah, they
Okay.
love that. And they're just like, there's that connection and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
I would emphasize if you ask me what would be your advice to a new person, who's trying to grow in this, I would say really try to get to know the families if you can. I know everybody can't do that. They're busy, but, I know not everybody wants to spend a lot of time on WeChat and everything. And I try to limit that so it doesn't infringe too much on family time, of course. But if you can make that, have a 5-minute conversation and tell a mom on WeChat, "Hey, I just want to let you know, Jerry's doing great. Oh, thank you so much." I almost always get a very positive response, just an effulgent gratitude that they have for that. So
Do you send out the e-cards or do you just do
um,
WeChat?
I do, but I don't like it as much as I used to, and I don't do it as enthusiastically as I used to,
Yeah.
just because the format changed so much. And it's hard
Yeah.
sometimes to find one. Like, I wanted to tell a student, "I missed you, since you weren't in class," and all the options were like, "It's your fault, teacher. Sorry, my internet wasn't working. Sorry, I was sick." And I'm like, this wasn't any, the student
Yeah.
missed my class.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah.
find an option for, "Sorry, you couldn't get to class on time," or whatever, I didn't send anything.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway,
Oh,
yeah.
really? There used to be one like that.
I
I
don't know
hope,
if it's out there, let
hope
me
you
know.
feel
Yeah.
better or something like that. They might have taken it out.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me know if you
Wow.
find it. Let me know if you find it. But it's just, when you could personalize those things, I thought that
Yeah.
I really think honestly, this was before I was doing WeChat. I didn't even know about WeChat. I think I got some regulars by doing that. By sending
Yeah.
those messages.
How many students have you taught? Because that would be a
Oh my
good,
gosh.
you can tell in the,
Yeah,
let's
I forget where everything is. Sorry.
insights.
Insights. Oh, okay. 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 I have taught 953.
Wow. Okay. So how many classes have you taught?
Okay.
Okay. So
4,417.
you're about twice as much as me. I'm
Yeah.
at like I'm at probably 2,500. We all know this isn't an accurate number
Okay.
because
Really? Is it?
they don't count supplementaries. They don't
Oh,
count.
really? They don't count
Yeah.
supplement.
They don't
Oh,
count. Level 7 is only counted as one.
really?
Yeah.
See, I've done a bunch. I've done so many supplements that,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
I've
you
done a
can
ton.
write to the company and you can ask them for the accurate number that
Really?
you
Okay.
have.
I see.
Because
Okay.
that will depend on if you get the raise or not, with
Oh, I see what you're saying.
the
Yeah.
next. Yeah. So I'm sure
Interesting.
you'll be
Yeah.
fine because you have plenty of classes. But
Yeah.
I was just wondering, according to how many followers you have,
Yeah.
because what were we talking about? You know, like I've taught 500 something students, but I only
Yeah.
have 176 followers. So
Mm.
it's probably a little less
Yeah.
than half.
Okay.
So
So
I'd
you've
like to
had
up the
more.
followers.
So you've had maybe more students that I would call one-off, where they come for a class and then maybe you don't see them again.
Yeah.
More of those.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
had quite a few of those too. And nobody knows, who knows why a
And some
student
people
stops
get
by and
booked,
leaves.
like some people get booked with the same student like every day or 3 times a week or something like that.
I get
I don't
those.
usually, I have only
Yeah.
like the most I'll do in a week is 2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
But I also work outside the home. I work at a school, so I'm not
Okay.
home
Are
to
you a
do
teacher
just
outside of the,
this.
are you a teacher outside of
I
this?
work at a Christian school where my kids go to school also.
Okay. You
So
teach or?
yeah,
Okay.
this year I'm not teaching as much, more
Okay.
just like supervising kind of thing. But I do
Gotcha.
it so my kids can go to school.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
we're all home now, but
Sure. Yeah. Right.
so what are
Right.
your goals for VIPKID?
Yeah, that's a great question. If I could become a mentor, I would really like to become a mentor. That's a big, big goal. Just to be honest
Yeah.
with you, I mean, yeah, I would like to continue to teach, but mentoring others and sharing what I've learned in 2 years or so. Because honestly, the videos on YouTube, and I applaud you for doing the YouTube videos, by the way. And I should be watching your channel more.
You should
Honestly,
be. Yeah, I'd
I
really
know.
appreciate it.
Well,
Give
you
me
know
a
what
thumbs
happens?
up,
Yeah. You know what happens? I sit here and watch the news until I'm too tired to do anything while I eat my breakfast, and then I sludge my way through my feedback, and then I'm like, okay, let's leave the house because otherwise I'm not gonna, I will just sit here all day,
Yeah.
and so that's what happens. But I will try to be more
No
faithful.
problem. I'm
But
just kidding.
no, but the whole YouTube thing though, with Nancy Taylor, of course. There's Angela Silva. These people were absolutely invaluable to me when I was starting out.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched those videos. I consumed those videos like just all day. Sometimes I'd sit outside in the summer and just watch
Yep.
the videos all day.
Yep.
And I learned so much. I mean, they really helped me. I'd like to meet them in person, tell them how much they helped me.
Yeah.
But I would like to do something like mentoring. I definitely want to continue for the next few years to try to do this full time, and then maybe scale back to more part time. But I would really like to do this until I'm so old that no student would ever want to look at me like, who in the world is that, Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah. That's kind of what I looked at
Yeah.
it like. This is something I could do even as I got older, because it's not
Yeah.
like
We have some
it is
teachers
hard to
that
get
are.
up early. Yeah.
We have some teachers in their 70s,
Oh yeah.
maybe, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We have a few. We have actually a YouTubers group if you're interested. It's
Yeah.
we just hit over 100 members of all people that do YouTube. And then like we all support each other.
Yeah.
Like right now, I think there's another girl that's going to be doing another like interview like this, so they might be
Yeah.
leaving to go watch hers.
Yeah.
But we all go
Yeah.
watch each other's videos, and like when we're cleaning the house, we'll just put
Yeah.
on a playlist, and so that everybody gets watch time.
Oh, yeah.
And
Very
we
nice.
do like challenges, like with questions like this, but we just answer questions. But some of the people on there, they're just like amazing YouTube video makers.
Yeah.
So
See, I have
I'm
no
like,
capacity.
man.
I want to do this. I just don't know if I have the tech capacity.
But we need guys that do it,
Yeah.
because like even my
Yeah.
husband, I keep saying he could do it. I said, if you can't be driving, like if they shut down your company, you're going to do VIPKID. So
Yeah.
he's like, uh-oh,
Do you think he would be? Do you think he'd be good?
He'd be great at it.
Yeah,
Oh, he'd
yeah.
be great at it. Yeah, he would love it.
Once he had some little kid that obviously
Yes.
loved him to death,
Yes.
he would understand the value of this job. Like
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. He would
get you.
love it. They
I
think
get
I'm
you.
crazy because way at the beginning, I think when you watch the videos, you think you have to be Nancy Taylor, like, hi, and you
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
be like, and people would say it's like edutainment type of
Yeah,
thing.
right.
But then I realized if you're way too animated, the kids are a little like standoffish.
Yeah.
Like they're not
Yeah.
used to that,
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
and I just kind of settled down to just be me, and I'm
Yeah.
usually a little bit animated anyway. So
If
that's
you can
not a
get, and here's the other thing too. If you can get with the upper level students, I have really begun transitioning to talking to them and just like I'm talking to you.
right.
Maybe, I mean, I'll tweak it a little bit so that idioms and stuff, if they may not understand the idioms. But my level, I've got some fives, and I've got several 5 kids, level 5, and some level 6 that I can converse with almost as naturally as I can an adult in the room in America. And it's just been remarkable. And the more that
They
I
are
do
amazing.
and the more that you do that, the more they are being immersed in that. And they may not always understand everything you're saying, but the more exposure they have to it, I think the more they're picking up on it.
Yeah.
I can think of a couple students that I could say almost anything culturally, and somehow they get it. Now, part of that might be their background. Maybe mom and dad travel back and forth to America or something like that, and they've had some American, some Western exposure. But I think really, honestly, I tell moms, I'm really trying to teach your child not just English, but also American culture. So if they come here, that they really feel, and then they'll usually say something like, "Oh, I would love for them to come study there and maybe visit." And I'm like, my home is open to them, especially
Yeah.
after I get my 18-year-old out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah, it's
yeah,
cool. It's very cool. And I think that's what they want too. They're not as much into, the actual factual stuff in the
right.
curriculum as they are in,
Because they're getting that
I
at
want my
school in a lot of
kid.
cases.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
right. Yeah.
That's what I tell people. We are teaching, but we
Mhm.
have to be careful that we understand we're really teaching them the English words and the English pronunciation
Right.
and giving that
Yeah.
conversational type.
Conversational
Yeah.
English. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so important too. And you get this with level 7 more.
Hmm.
The figures of speech and the idioms and those kinds of things. I mean, that becomes invaluable to me when they're going to start having conversations, because things are not
Right.
going to go over their head as much.
Right.
See.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so, gosh, my only regret, I shouldn't say regret, but the only thing that I think I'm going to lament down the road is not being able to see where all these kids go in the future. Because I wish
I
there was some
know.
way to do that.
I
I
know.
mean, even if I were to live to be 90
Well,
years
you got
old,
WeChat.
yeah, some of them I think I'll keep up with. I think for years, there's a couple of them on WeChat that I've been on with forever, and I know the family. I met grandma and grandpa and blah blah blah. But I mean,
Wow.
some of them, of course, are going to drift away. And you're never going to know what happened. It's
I
just going to be
know.
kind of sad.
Well, the thing is, my mom, she, they just kind of just tease me about it. I don't go around telling people how much money I made,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I mean, it's kind of a lot of money, but it goes really fast. And it's kind
sure,
of,
yeah,
oh, I made $1,000. It's gone. It's like
yeah, yeah.
five.
I know. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but my mom is like, just wait, in a few years, somebody's going to come from China to look for you. And I'm like, yeah, it might happen, actually.
That's the idea.
It
As long
might
as it's,
happen.
I'm not going to open the home to the president, probably, but the president of China, but anybody
Yeah.
else.
Well, the thing is,
Yeah.
I have one student, and his
Yeah.
mother is a dentist, and she has
Yeah.
been to Boston.
Yeah. Boston seems to be a place. I've got a student right now, level 6, that just moved to Boston, and I've heard anecdotally
Moved
that
to
that
Boston?
moved
They
to
live in
Boston.
Boston now?
Yeah, year
Oh,
round.
wow.
Yeah, no more China for them.
Wow.
So now I
Wow.
have heard the immigration process. I have a mom right now that I'm thinking about, and I talk to her and her husband sometimes in the mornings while I'm getting, because they're trying to teach me how to cook breakfast. I mean, like Chinese breakfast.
Okay.
And she
Yeah,
told me
I'd be
yesterday. Yeah.
curious. What's a Chinese breakfast? That would
Oh,
be a great video.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But she told me, I said, hey, she said she wants to move to Canada. I said, hey, have you ever thought about moving to America? She said, my son would be 20 years old by the time I got through the immigration process.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
like, oh, but I know some students that have moved and they are there year round.
There
So
are
I
a
don't
lot of
know.
students because there's colleges in Boston,
Yeah, yeah.
and we have
Okay.
friends that actually had like a church,
Right.
and they were going to go in and just start a church in Boston, and they realized that their ministry was to the Chinese, because the
Mm,
Chinese kids want to learn English, so they would
yeah.
come to church and then they
Oh,
would just share the whole thing. So it turned out that their whole entire ministry was around
yeah.
Chinese people. They
See,
actually went to China,
oh,
yeah, to see them. This was a few years ago.
see, this is
So
something that you asked me earlier. If I could add to my answer from earlier, what's your goal? Well, okay, this is not a VIP kid goal, but it's an extraneous goal. I would really like to be able to do this as a ministry in my local area with a very growing Chinese immigrant community that we have
you
in
do have one?
Indiana. Yes,
Oh,
we do.
really?
Not far from, because there's a grocery store that I go to all the time. We have basically two. We have about 3 choices as far as groceries in my little area. And when I go down to the Kroger, about every 5th visit or so, I will see a family or 2 or 3 families that I believe have immigrated from China because they're fluent in Chinese. They
Yeah.
don't sound like they grew up in the area. They sound like they are
Right, right.
transplanted to the
Yeah.
area. And then of course I try not to stare, but of course me
I
being,
know.
it's like, oh, it's my people.
I love you.
Love you.
Yeah. Yes, that's
You know,
exactly what happens
I
to
know that
me. Yeah.
sounds so, oh, it sounds
No,
so
see,
American,
we're
but
all the VIP. That's what I love about the talking to other teachers
yeah.
is because other people don't get it. They think we're weird. But when we
Yeah.
get together, we're like, yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
I had somebody at the VIPKID group that said, that is microaggression that you are so curious. And I said, but the moms are curious. I see them sometimes, they're like, oh, there's the American guy. I think there's a natural curiosity that flows out of that, you know, that there's a
Yeah.
different ethnic group, particularly when you're working with them virtually, and then suddenly that ethnic group is there physically. You know, I mean, not the same people, of course, but yeah,
Right.
I mean, and it flows out, honestly, Cindy, it flows out of a deep love. It's not
It
like
does.
you know, I'm not looking at them like, oh, that's a strange. I mean, there's a connection there. There's a real
Yeah.
connection.
Well,
It comes
my
from 2
very
years.
first, when I was 8 years old, my
Yeah.
very first piano teacher was Chinese.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we
yeah,
lived in a rural town, like just like Leave It to Beaver kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I would put my books in my backpack, ride
Mhm.
on my bicycle by myself, and
Yeah,
it was only probably a quarter of a mile. You know, you
yeah,
rode through the neighborhood, and I had to bring
yeah.
my slippers because if I didn't bring my slippers, she would make me wear a pair of one of her kids, and I just was embarrassed. You know, I didn't want her to
Yeah, yeah.
have to give me slippers.
Mhm.
So I would bring my slippers, and she had a piano actually in the basement.
Yeah,
And we would go down for our lesson, and she had 2 girls, and they were newly to America, like they were Chinese. Everything about
yeah.
them was Chinese culture.
I see. Yeah,
And she was my very first piano teacher, and my parents kept track of them all through the years. My dad was
yeah,
very personable, and he just
yeah,
loved everyone. And if he met
yeah.
anybody, they were their lifelong friend.
Oh,
So
wow.
he kept track
Wow.
of them all through the years, even though we moved away.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah, and then you
Yeah.
get the story of Hudson Taylor, who
Mhm.
actually ministered to the Chinese people.
Sure.
And
And of course, Lottie Moon, right? Lottie Moon was from China.
I don't know
Right.
that story, but I'll have to
Oh,
look
yeah,
it
okay.
up.
That's, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a different, it's a Baptist thing, but it's a,
Okay.
yeah, she was a Chinese missionary in China, I think.
Yeah. There are a lot of
So, yeah,
people that have ministered to the Chinese people. And,
yeah,
that's where this job, like when I first got into it, I was like, am
yeah,
I sure I want to help China?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
but
Because you
it's
grow up with we grew up with the Doomsday
the
movies about the
political
Soviet Union,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Soviet Union and their allies and all that kind of thing.
Right, right.
And
And it
even
is
now,
kind of
tensions are,
tenuous right now.
it is. It is. I should tell you too. You mentioned since we're talking about Christianity in China, I have at least one mom that I know of who is fairly openly Christian on WeChat. Not in a
Mhm.
proselytizing kind of way, but she will put up clear symbolisms of Christianity, and I'm pretty sure she is to one degree or the other
Right.
is an adherent. But her son doesn't book very often. He used to, and he doesn't book very often. And she doesn't comment on WeChat much. Like if you chat
Yeah.
her, so I
Yeah.
don't really have an opportunity to engage that topic with her. And I don't know if I
Yeah. From what
should or
I
not.
understand,
Yeah,
from what I've heard is it's not against the law to be a Christian,
right, right,
but you just can't like meet, like have a church type of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, because
So,
well, what they say is it'll be governed by the state basically. But now it's becoming any more that they're even cracking down on those churches.
yeah.
So
Just like just like
yeah.
us right now.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, exactly. I don't think my perception, not speaking as any kind of authority on this, but my perception just from my interactions is that I think they can. It's okay to say something Christian on WeChat, but what you wouldn't want to say is, "Hey, mom, I will join you in praying that the government has changed in China."
Yeah, really.
You would want to say
Yeah.
something political. You would not want to mix that with
No.
politics. But I would feel like if a mom wanted to talk about, hey, pray for me. The Lord has shown us this, blah, blah. I would think that's an okay conversation. Some people feel very different about that and they worry about that. And that's okay. I respect that. I mean, if you want to err on the side of caution, that's okay. I just try to go with wherever the conversation. I had a kid one day, level 6, that asked me, is Jesus Christ the Messiah? He asked me that
Oh,
in the lesson.
wow. Oh
It
my
was a it
goodness.
was a Christmas lesson, And he wanted to know
Yeah.
if Jesus Christ was the same thing as what he had learned, the Messiah, the word Messiah. And of course I said, yes, that would be correct. Yes.
Wow.
And there was just one, he goes, oh, okay. And we just went right on. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, what just happened?
Yeah. I
So,
just did the lesson, it's level 6, I think, about Ramadan and
I did. Yeah. Yeah. Ramadan.
Kwanzaa. And I'm like, I told the student, I'm like, I really don't know I don't know anybody who
Yeah.
celebrates these holidays, but so it's really hard to do a lesson like
But you
that.
can take prayer though. So you can take that prayer in
Yeah.
our Ramadan. And I even told that kid, I said, this means to pray. And I said, like, for example, I might say, oh, I'm going to pray for our class today. Now, see, I said, and I mentioned, I said, now my religion is Christianity. And my wife said, now you don't want to, my wife was like, well, you don't want to tell them that Christianity is just a religion of mine. I said, no, I understand that. But I also can't go into the classroom and say, now let me tell you, these religions are fake and nonsense. Christianity is right. I
Exactly.
mean, you don't
That's
want to
true.
get yourself in
Yeah.
some hot water with Beijing and
Yeah.
so forth.
Yeah.
So I told her, I said, here's what I said. I said, this is what Christianity believes. I said,
Yeah.
he needs to understand that much. I mean, I wasn't
Yeah.
able to go down the Romans road, but you
And
just
like
kind of
you
play it by
said, he
ear.
might meat up with somebody
He
that,
might.
through the
Christianity is
time.
growing rapidly, as you probably know,
Yeah.
in China. Evangelical,
Yeah.
whatever we might call evangelical Christianity, my understanding is it is growing. I have heard conservative Christianity, Bible believing, Christianity, gospel saturated Christianity is growing in China. Not just Christianity with a small c, but I mean
Right.
like real blood bought
Yeah.
Christianity is growing in China.
Hopefully it
So,
will grow in America
yeah, oh
the next
yeah.
few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, I would hope that all of the human suffering and so forth, which obviously none of us takes delight in, we all feel affected by this. But I would hope that the Holy Spirit capitalizes on that. And that,
I'm hoping that we will
yeah,
see the blessing of God in a
yeah.
way that we're not expecting,
Maybe
because
so. Maybe in a
it
Isaiah
looks
kind of, yeah,
difficult and it looks scary, but
it does.
God
Yeah.
can get us through it. And that's what I'm praying for. And it may
Yeah.
happen in our lives personally, maybe
Well,
not as a big scale country thing, but if
yeah,
it
and you have
happens
to.
in our lives personally, then we're going to see that.
Yeah, it could be more anecdotal than corporate. But the other thing to keep in mind, that might help some people that are really like me. That I mean, like me. I mean, you watch the news for a while, and you're kind of freaking out.
Hmm.
The closest parallel that I can think of is 9/11. But with 9/11, we had sort of an immediate response by the government that felt like we're pushing this out. This is going away, and there was more certitude than there is
Hmm.
now. But the closest, but if this helps anybody, let's remember that the United States went through years of polio when
Yeah.
kids were in the house in the summer, terrified to go to the pool. I
Mm.
mean, and that went on for years. I
Yeah.
mean, so the country's been through worse as far as pandemics and epidemics goes. I mean,
We
that
have
was,
been through it before as a country.
yeah, there's a history of it.
Yeah.
There's a history to
Yeah.
it. So,
And that's what I told my kids, because my older kids, they read a lot more books. Like my younger kids, we kind of slacked off and let them do more like what everybody else is doing kind of thing. But
yeah,
my older kids read a lot of history books. They knew
yeah,
history. They knew a lot more practical living type stuff.
sure, yeah,
So, but the younger ones, I said, years ago, they had these problems, and down through history there have been problems and
yeah,
people have made it through. It's
yeah,
just hard for us right now because we're so spoiled and we think,
yeah,
oh, you have to stay home to stay healthy. We're mad about it, but it's
right,
like home is your
yeah,
safety. Like if you're
yeah.
home, you're safe. That's okay. Like we're not worried about bombs overhead at this point.
Well,
you
people that
know
went through the World War II generation, that kind of thing, of course, not very
yeah,
many of them are still alive, but I mean, they understood this kind of fear. They
yeah,
understood the
that's
fear
true.
of not knowing if you're going to be safe from day to day.
Right. And
Uh,
closing your shades at night because you don't want
yeah,
them to know where your city is or
that's
stuff
right.
like that.
See, that's the kind of thing that
Yeah.
this is not unprecedented. I know the president said the other day that the country's never been through anything like this. Well, actually, we have. It's just that not in our generation, probably.
Right. Right. Even though
Closest thing
we're
might have been
old.
Yeah, Vietnam was kind of close in
We
terms
had
of
a good
social
life.
unrest.
Now, I don't know how old
Yeah,
you are, but I think we're sort of around the same
close,
age.
close. We're very
But
close.
I might be 10 years younger than you or so.
Don't you love it when that thank you. Don't you love it when the student says though, when the student guesses your age and it's 10 years younger than what it actually is. Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
love
tell
that
the
feeling.
kids I don't tell them my age. I just tell them I have a lot of kids. This is not even all my kids, but
Yeah,
I have a lot of
wow.
kids and I have 4
Oh,
grandkids.
oh, yeah.
This
Yeah.
isn't
Whoa.
even all of them. This is a
Yeah, I
few
just
of
turned this
them.
off.
One,
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's only
Because you got
9.
13.
13. Yeah. I have another picture
Yeah.
somewhere, but but I just tell them so they can figure it out. They know how to do math,
Oh, I had a kid the other
but
day. I have to tell you this. You know how you have the lesson on counting by tens and standard form and all that?
yeah.
Okay, every number was 50, 60, 70, 80, blah, blah, blah. And I just jokingly said, can you guess which one is mine? And he was like, and this was not an advanced kid. This is like a level 3 or whatever. And the kid guessed my
90.
age exactly. And I
Oh,
said,
good.
no, I know, but I looked at her and I said, you're killing me. And she laughed. I
Yeah.
think it was a she.
Yeah.
And she laughed and I said, you got my age exactly right. You're killing me. And she laughed. She knew that what I was saying was, oh no, you know how old I am. She
Yeah.
knew. She knew
Well,
what I was
from when I first started VIPKID, I was getting 5 apples, 5 apples, 5.
saying.
I was like thinking I'm immune to ever getting lower than 5 apples. And then I
Yeah.
thought maybe it's because of my age, because they
Yeah.
respect older people.
Yeah.
But
Maybe so.
I did get some bad apples. I got one 3-apple review, but I contested it and they took it off. But
Oh,
it still stays on your record.
right.
It's
Yeah.
there, but it was invalidated.
Do you get
And
to the point though now, you've been doing this a long time, right? You've been doing this maybe about as long as I have or something. I mean, do you feel like though now that you're kind of at the point where you don't really think about that an awful lot? I
well, I
mean,
do want to get over 1,000 because I want to get my
okay.
badge.
Yeah, well, no, what, yeah, no, right. Yeah, you to that. But I mean, I don't finish my classes and worry as much about am I going to get a bad review,
Yeah.
unless I actually fall asleep, which I did do, and I didn't somehow.
Yeah.
I not only escaped a bad review, the mom rebooked, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But I don't worry about that nearly as much. Like I had this kid
Yeah.
last night. The class was an absolute disaster, and honestly, my attitude was unusually impatient. I kind of rolled my eyes a couple times. But I mean, I don't really worry about that too much. And I
Yeah.
don't say that with any kind of arrogance. It's just that when you've been doing this day after day after day, it's
Yeah.
maybe like somebody that goes into the coal mines.
Yeah.
After 30 years of going to the coal mines, they're probably not worried about what's going to happen down here today because
Right.
you just become sort of mechanical in the way that you do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
when I say,
I don't do as much like preparing. Like I have little
yeah,
tips. Like I
yeah.
think I might look for a chicken like that. I really like that.
I
But
used to
that's what I'll
go,
do. I'll find something like that and I'll use it for a week for
yeah,
everyone. So
yeah,
I'm not like
yeah,
doing a different prop for every student.
right.
I
There's things you can do, but I got to mention this real quick. I don't want to keep going, but
have one of those.
you have one of those? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like fire. I love to use fire. Yeah, the kids
Oh,
love the thing.
wow.
But okay, this is a noodle, right? Okay, you
Oh,
can do
wow.
this. You can
Yep.
say, "Hey, look, Leo, I'm cooking noodles today." They think that's hilarious because they know that
Oh, cooking noodles.
cooking noodles. Come on, you're not cooking noodles, teacher. And
Oh,
sometimes
that's funny.
the other thing I like to do, which is kind of crazy, but I'll take a candle, one of those little candles that comes in a packet. They're real cheap, and I will actually let the candle wax drip down and burn my hand, and it does burn. It hurts. And I'll go, and to convey whatever. I don't know what I'm conveying when I do that. And they think it's hilarious. They think that's just really, and I'll even show them where it kind of burn. I mean, it's not a bad burn, but I'll show
Yeah.
them where it dripped on my hand. They love fire.
Yeah.
Balloons are, I don't use
Balloons.
balloons as much as I used
Yes.
to, but they're fun. And any kind of
Yeah.
thing that could be a weapon,
A weapon. Oh,
chains.
that is so funny.
Oh,
Chains. Oh, my word. Yeah.
horror films. Okay, sometimes I
Oh,
use
my
this. Those
goodness.
lessons about scare, those lessons about
Okay.
scary. Yeah. This is from the 1980s. It's called The Fog. So they
Okay.
love that. Yeah. So it's
Wow.
a lot of fun. And sometimes you can really improvise with students because I had a student on WeChat who had a pack of cigarettes, a real pack of cigarettes in her hand. So I asked her the next class, I said, can I ask why you had cigarettes? She thought that was hilarious. I said, why are you a smoker? And she said, those are my dad. She said, I was taking them away from him so he'll quit smoking. And
Oh,
so I pretended, I used my lighter and I lit up something that looked like a cigarette. And I said, oh, really? Are you going to get on? And she thought that was so funny. But it made that kind of connection. And it made she just loved that after that. She made
oh,
almost a
that's
connection
interesting.
between me and her dad, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I asked her, I said, did your dad quit smoking after? She said, no. He said, give them back.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was
Yeah.
great. So anytime you can use a prop or anything like that, either to liven up a class, obviously that's dragging a little bit, or to make a connection. I used
Yeah.
this the other day. Basketball, of course, was canceled, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
But I got this at one of our basketball events for our local team. And so
Oh,
I'm able
yeah.
to use this and say, hey, you know, would you like to be a basketball player? So anything like that. I mean, you know, the sky's almost the limit in terms of what you're able to do in a class. And you don't, like you said about preparing. I tell my wife, my best classes are the ones that I don't sit and spend a lot of time preparing for. I'll prepare for 7 and sometimes 6 just to make sure I understand the curriculum, the different kinds of grammar stuff that's going on. But my best classes are the ones that I sort of do, you know, and I don't want anybody to think that's watching this. I don't want them to think I'm a lazy teacher who doesn't prepare. What I mean is that when you do this over and over and over again, you become so familiar with the material that when you're
Yeah.
unscripted, I think it's better. I just think
Yeah.
when
You're just
there's a
connecting with the
script, but you know,
student. I think
just
that's the
connect. Yeah,
biggest thing.
yeah,
And does
absolutely.
anybody have any questions before we wrap this up? My friend Kelly says she has a fan. I think
She
I've
has a
seen her fan. A fan, you know.
I thought you meant like a fan, like a mom that says, "Yeah, go Kelly."
Hello, Laura. Laura H. And Danny. Danny wants me to help her with WeChat. She's not on Facebook at all, but I met her through
Oh,
YouTube.
yeah.
She does YouTube videos.
It can be a real pain to do WeChat to get it going. And
Yeah, I've
yeah,
tried to help a few people. I think I may have tried to help her once and then we just kind of forgot about it. But
it's a very
not
good
every
course.
parent,
Yeah.
not every parent wants to do WeChat. Like
No, they don't.
sometimes
Yeah.
if I feel like, oh, I made a real connection, I'll put at the bottom of my feedback, this is my
Yeah.
WeChat name,
Yeah.
and they don't even bother with it.
Yeah.
But
What do you think that represents? Let me ask you that because before you wrap up, do you think that some moms are nervous about that because they don't speak English and they think, I don't know how I would be able to relate to the teacher? Or do you think it's, I'm too busy, I don't have time for, or maybe it's a little bit of both? I don't know
yeah, it
because,
just depends
yeah,
on, like,
yeah,
I did have one student that I was able to say, you know, I have an open slot to tomorrow if somebody wants to book. And I had a parent say, okay, you know,
yeah,
they grabbed the spot.
yeah,
I have very few people, so I don't offer that to everyone.
sure, yeah,
But I think
yeah,
that I was going to mention to you about the
yeah,
kids being on WeChat. I
yeah,
don't think the parents mind that
mhm,
the kids are friends with their teachers.
yeah, yeah.
I
I
think
try to be,
they
yeah,
sort of treat the kids, they want to kind of
mhm,
push the kids into adulthood a little bit
I
more
guess
than we
so.
do.
I guess so, yeah.
And they
And I try
trust
to,
us. So
yeah, and I try to, you know, because of the age and the culture in which we live, you know, I
yeah.
try to be very transparent with
And you
that,
can
and I
be
can,
sure that
you
everything you put on WeChat is monitored.
know, that's
They
right, that's
probably
right,
have some kind of computer something or other that if you're do
yeah,
something stupid, they'll figure it, you know, they'll find you
yeah,
real quick.
yeah,
So I'm really
yeah,
careful what I put on there. So
sure, yeah, absolutely. But it's a great way of. I'll have some kids, like I have 2 boys on WeChat, and they both messaged me the other day and said, you know, they wanted to know, teacher, who is, and they're good friends in real life, okay, and like they go to school together, but they're both doing level 5, and they said, which one of us is ahead? Is it me or is it him? And so I had some fun going back and forth on WeChat and saying, Jimmy, you're behind a little bit, but if you hurry up, you can catch up. Okay, you know, and they love that. And they were messaging me back and forth, little screenshots of themselves, you know, sort of.
oh
So
good.
yeah, it's a fun little dynamic that you could create. But WeChat, for those that are not on WeChat that might see this, it doesn't work as well as Facebook.
Right. It's not
It's
the
not
same.
as, yeah.
And
I
it's
would
not
love
as
when,
invasive. Like some people think
right.
I can't do WeChat because I'll get caught up in it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
not.
really easy to get caught
No,
up in.
there's a time difference. You know, there's a couple of moms that I'll talk to while I'm getting breakfast. But when I'm eating breakfast, they're about ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
So they're not generally going to like stay up for hours and, and
Right.
talk to you and that
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
And so you don't really have to worry about that. And they don't nag you. I never have moms that nag me.
Yeah. One thing you
Like,
have to remember is I have one mother that like advertises. She must work for a
oh,
company that sells pillows.
oh, really?
Everything's about sleeping and
Oh,
pillows, getting a good night's rest, like, like those Posturepedic type pillows.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
like, that's kind of annoying because it's like, okay,
yeah.
enough already. I don't really care about
Arbonne,
the
and well,
pillows.
we've had that in America, of course, with Arbonne and
Yeah,
all those
yeah,
different kinds of stuff. Mary Kay, whatever,
yeah.
So,
So
so
they
yeah.
can do that. But yeah, and I use it for originally that one student that have level
Yeah,
7. I had him on WeChat. He's the one that mentioned it. And
yeah,
then I got his mother on, and it worked out well because I wouldn't be
yeah,
able to book his class if I didn't have WeChat. Since then,
yeah,
I've also gotten his LP on there because
yeah.
she's the one that books the
Really, I've never
class.
had an LP WeChat friend. I've never had, not yet, not yet.
Yeah. So
And
it's
it's
kind
kind
of
of,
interesting.
well, and it's funny too. I'll say this real quick. It's the students and moms can be so different. Okay, I have a student who books regularly, and she has no personality with me whatsoever. I left just without thinking about it. I mentioned my WeChat ID to her mom in feedback one day, and I'd had her for a long time. And I thought her mom's not going to respond to that. Her mom not only added me to WeChat, but it turns out her mom has this bubbly personality. And so I talked
Oh,
to her about that,
yeah.
and I said, "Hey, can you tell me why your niece is not like that?" She goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
teacher," she says, "she really is like that when she's not in the classroom." She goes, "I don't know why and it's not just you.
Oh,
She's just like this."
interesting.
She said, "So she's like this with all of her teachers.
She's very
She said, I can't get her."
serious.
And she said, "I even tell her, stop being so serious, lighten up." And she said,
Oh,
"And I'm really,"
interesting.
so she's trying to
That's
help me.
great. Yeah, that's great.
So,
That's great.
it's
That's
wonderful when
really
you can do
awesome.
some teamwork.
Yeah, so Laura,
Yeah.
Laura wants help with WeChat. So Laura, if you want to send me, if you're on Facebook, you can send me a message on Messenger, or you can send me an email, normancindy13@gmail.com, and we'll try to figure it out.
I
It's
would
not
love
that
to.
easy.
I would love to help out. I am the world's worst at trying to help out WeChat people. I just, for whatever
It's
reason, I
hard.
always end up with an error message
Yeah.
or something happened like you already helped somebody in the last 6 months and now you can't do that anymore.
Oh, are you only allowed to do so many at a time?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I get people that request that will send me messages. Can you help me with WeChat? And I'm like, I tried a week ago and they told me that I'm not allowed to for a period of time. So,
Okay.
and I'm
So
thinking, I
that's
hope they
good
don't
to
think I'm
know.
making that up. Like a,
But I have other friends I can ask if I can't help,
yeah,
then I can ask someone else to do it. So that would be
absolutely.
good.
All right. Well,
So do
Cindy,
you,
thank you
you
so
don't have
much.
your own Facebook group or anything. You need to start your own channel. You need to start your own Facebook group.
Yeah. Okay.
If
I
you,
want to talk to you next offline, but I want to talk
okay.
to you about starting a YouTube channel.
Okay.
But when I get some sleep and some breakfast,
Okay.
I'd
And
like
when
to
you
do
get really famous, you need to
that.
just make sure you give me a kickback.
Right. A kickback to New Hampshire.
So yeah. So yeah, but the thing is, if you do
Yeah.
YouTube and you
Yeah.
start, a lot of people are making videos and then they get other people surfing through looking to sign
Yeah.
up for VIPKID, so you can get referrals that way too.
So is the
That's
sign
how
that
they
you're
make a
really
little
a
extra
big
money.
time, well, question, is the sign that you're really a big time YouTuber when somebody tries to go to your video and has to sit through a commercial? Is that when you know that
Yes,
you're
yes.
okay?
You need
Yeah,
1,000 subscribers. So I'm
just to
only
get you.
at 200,
Okay,
210. I'm not a
so
big wig YouTuber.
but that's when you start. This becomes somewhat profitable when you get enough
A
people
thousand,
that you
yeah.
get that advertising going.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool. So you're
That's
going to
it.
stay in it for the longer? Is that your
I
goal?
don't know. We'll see. I mean, I kind of
Okay,
started it just for fun.
okay.
And there's a lot of other teachers that are getting into it. They're way better at making videos than me.
Nancy Taylor
So,
probably gets some
oh,
advertising, I bet.
if you look
Yeah.
up VIPKID, you get her name. So what
Oh,
you have
yeah.
to do is you have to kind of have your own little side
I
niche,
see.
like the online
Yeah.
teacher dude. He's a guy, so that helps him out because he's
Right.
like, you don't have to be like all Nancy Taylor-ish. You can be,
Yeah.
a normal person and do this job.
Wow.
And
Okay.
so
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that
Yeah,
helped him being a
I
man
see.
in this type of situation. So a lot of
Yeah.
guys will look at his, I mean, I've sent my husband like, watch this video. He's a guy and he's doing it and he's not acting
Yeah.
like a preschooler, you know.
Yeah, right. Right. My
He
kids,
doesn't, it's his job, it's his
yeah,
business.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
My kids sometimes, I will tell you, I'll let them sit in on a class because I'm in a big teaching. What we did was we converted part of my basement
Yeah.
to a giant office. It's spacious.
Yeah.
And it's an old house. Okay. We're not rich, but my wife did wonders with this thing. But my kids, I'll let them come in and sit in and kind of watch TV and kind of listen. And they'll laugh, they'll be giggling sometimes at some of the things that I do. My kids
Yeah.
like my students. My kids ask about my students. They don't talk to a lot of my students, but they ask about them. They'll say
Good.
sometimes, do you think they're going to come
Yeah.
visit? They get
Oh
excited.
yeah. Yeah.
And so when you can get your family, and my wife loves, I mean, she says she doesn't mind my stories. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't. Hopefully she doesn't. But I'll tell her stories about I'll pick like 3 or 4 of the top ones of the day and tell her
Yeah.
while we're eating dinner together. And
Yeah.
she likes the idea of international adoption. I think she would be open to that if we could do that someday. But of course, the clock is ticking on all of us pretty much, as
Yeah.
far as that
Well,
goes.
actually from
Yeah.
China, you know, a lot of times you can adopt an older kid and it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter how old you are because
Really?
that or they have nobody, you know.
Oh,
I have a
yeah.
friend in town, she has adopted, let's see, I think 4 kids from China,
Yeah. Yeah. We've known a
maybe
few.
5.
Wow.
Yeah, she
Wow.
has, well, I met her, she had 2 kids and we homeschooled and I had like 7.
Yeah.
And she had 2 kids and they would sit around watching movies. Their homeschool
Yeah.
was so easy. And then
Yeah.
they decided, their kids grew up and they decided they're going to adopt, and they adopted, I think they have like 11 kids they've adopted, 10 or 11 kids. Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
some
beautiful.
from in
Yeah.
the state, some from China.
Yeah.
That's it,
Wow.
in the state, and some from China. I have another
Yeah.
friend that adopted kids from Bulgaria, and these are like my really close friends. And they said, I went over there and I'm like, you guys have more kids than I do now because my kids are
Yeah.
growing up and moving out. And they're like, we got the courage from you, Cindy, because
Yeah.
you started it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
adopt any. They're all my own kids.
So is
But
the Keystone State big on adoption in general? Do you think it's a big deal up there?
Keystone State, you mean? We're
New
the
Hampshire?
Granite State.
Granite State.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're the
Just
Granite State.
insulted the
Are we
whole
big
thing.
on adoption? I
Yeah.
don't know. There are a lot of adopting families that I've met, and it has been kind of within the last 10 to maybe 15 years.
Okay. Yeah.
But there are a lot of groups. I actually, at my school, I help out another guy who adopted 10 kids.
Wow.
I've been trying to get him to do VIP-KID, but his wife is an executive and she makes enough money so that he can just kind of watch the kids. And he's a former teacher, a retired teacher.
Yeah.
And so, but now he's home with all the kids. Like he would go to the school and we would take care of the kids. And now it's like, it's all you now.
Yeah, I think I would do this job on the side if I was a billionaire. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
The rewards go beyond the money. I mean,
I agree. I have a video about that on my channel. It's about,
I gotta watch your channel.
It's more than money. It's more than money. Yeah.
I gotta watch your video.
That would be awesome. Let me know.
Fan,
See, that's the thing. If you can even comment on my videos or tell people that you watched a video like on the Christian group, that can help me out. That can help me get more subscribers.
So I should go to the Christian group and say, guess what I did today? I watched Cindy's.
Cindy interviewed me today. It was so much fun.
I will do that today. I might have to tell a couple of stories first, but I'll do that.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. Thank you everybody that watched.
Yeah, thank you. Right. And we will see you around. Have a great day.
Thank you, Cindy. All right, see you later.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.